everyone, and welcome to another animated look back. B-movie. I will say this, out of all the videos I have done for animated look back, none of them has pissed me off more than this stupid film. Yeah, I'm not going to mince words with this one. I think this movie sucks. And if you are here to see a positive review on this movie, go away. Go find somebody else's work, because that is not what you're going to find here. But if you're here to see a thorough and fair analysis of this movie, and in which I explain why I think this movie sucks, then stick around, I got something for you. B-movie stars Jerry Seinfeld as Barry B. Benson, a B that's just graduated from B school, and now he must decide which career he should do for the rest of his life. He feels the pressure and decides to go outside and see the world first. Along the way, he is saved by this woman played by Renee Zellweger. He decides to break a B law, which is only mentioned once and never even brought up again even after he breaks it. I mean, if it's a law, you think there should be some consequences, but nope, just he breaks it and it's like, oh, well, don't do that. But in any case, he talks to her, and the more time he spends with her, the more he learns about humanity, and honestly, the rest of the movie's just off the rails. I mean, it goes through plots so quickly, it doesn't give the movie any time to gain any focus. But before I bash this movie to death, I want to talk about the good stuff that this movie can do. So let's talk about the animation, because that's the only thing this movie really has going for it. These animators are really giving it everything they have into this movie. The flying scenes are very nicely done. The whole world of the bees, while it makes no sense, and I'll get into that later, they do a good job of making it look bright, colorful, and interesting. My only complaints kind of reside with the way the characters are animated. They look a little off. I mean, for the bees, I don't think they look their best because, like, first of all, we know that bees don't have these types of faces. I mean, they are human faces put on bee bodies. And I get that you need to change things sometimes. I mean, Finding Nemo changed how fish look because, you know, fish have eyes on the sides of their heads and they wanted people to be able to relate to them more, so they changed it up. So I get the idea, but they never really look bee-ish. Honestly, the Honey Nut Cheerios bee looks more bee-ish than these bees in B-movie. I also think that the people look a little weird. I don't know. For some characters, I know that's the point. But compared to the animation of today's, people just look better. And I know that's an unfair comparison, but I don't know. There's just something that's a little off. But still, it's not that bad. I just find that something is off about them. Maybe it's just because the world and the humans look semi-realistic, and then you get the bees, which look more cartoony, and so their animations don't exactly blend together exactly well. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but something feels a little bit off with the character animation. But the whole world and all the backgrounds and all the flying scenes and all the stuff like that still looks very good. And you gotta give the animators a hand for that. So now when it comes to the story, I can say the film's biggest problem with one simple line. Jerry Seinfeld sucks at voice acting!
You like jazz?
Now, I want to say that I don't actually hate Jerry Seinfeld himself. Like, I enjoy his show. I even bought one of his stand-up DVDs. But every single problem in this movie can relate to him not being a good voice actor. Because his voice always sounds like he's doing his stand-up. And you might ask, well, what's wrong with that? It's because he never sounds sincere in any situation.
This is your queen? That's a man in woman's clothes. That's a drag queen.
I mean, this is the character when he's supposed to be in pain. This is him when he's supposed to be angry.
Why is this here?
For people. We eat it.
Why? You don't have enough food of your own?
Well, yes.
How do you even get it?
Well, bees make it.
I know who makes it.
And this is him where he's supposed to be sad.
Vanessa, I just want to say I'm sorry. I never meant it to turn out like this.
It always sounds like a stand-up's impersonation about someone being in pain or angry or sad, instead of someone actually being in pain, angry, or sad. I mean, me, I'm acting right now. I'm not actually pissed off. I just got back from work. I had a nice day. I got a good job. I just got a girlfriend, whatever. You know, I'm not actually mad right now. I'm playing it up because I don't like this movie, so I need to relay that emotion to you. I need to act it to you. You know, he can't do that. There's a difference between being on stage saying, "Oh, I'm really mad right now," and, "Oh my gosh, that pisses me off!" One is acting, one is informational. And because of that, his character never really feels real. He is never showing the emotion, he's just saying the emotion, and that doesn't work. It also doesn't really help that they write him to be the worst character ever. Yeah, you know, I think that, yeah, that describes it.
Maybe I'll pierce my thorax, shave my antenna, shack up with a grasshopper, get a gold tooth, and start calling everybody dog. I'm so proud.
I mean, in the beginning of the movie, we're, you know, getting to know the character, and it's here where they throw in charming little lines like this.
That girl was hot.
She's my cousin.
She is?
Yes, we're all cousins.
Right, you're right.
Movie, why are you doing this? You don't see Bug's Life or Ants bring up that the queens birth all the ants so they're all related, and you want to know why? Because it makes any romantic subplot they would have creepy! But fortunately, they don't have a creepy romantic subplot where he falls in love with one of his cousins. No. They have a creepy romantic subplot where he falls in love with a human. Oh.
You coming?
Got everything?
All set.
Look, this isn't the first movie ever to have an animal, or in this case, an insect attracted to a human. But usually when stuff like that happens, two things. Either one, everybody around the person will call them insane or creepy, or two, the one thing that most movies will never do, you never have their feelings reciprocated. Not the case with this movie. I mean, sure, we don't get a scene with them kissing or anything, but, you know, she dumps her boyfriend, and then they start up a business together, and they're seeming very chummy at the end, and then, I don't know, they go basically as far with it as you can, and it's creepy!
We're friends.
Good friends?
Yes.
How good do you live together?
Wait a minute. This isn't
Are
about...
you her little bed bug?
Look, there's just some lines that you don't cross in animated movies. Rule number 1, do not have animals fall in love with humans. I mean, it's just like that scene in that Sonic video game where Sonic kisses a human. Everyone had the same reaction. Ew! Okay, I wish everyone had the same reaction. Most of us. And speaking of Renee Zellweger's character, you know, at first I thought she was the normal one. You know, she was playing more the straight character, and, you know, I might dislike Barry, but at the very least, here's a normal plain Jane character. Nothing too weird about her. But then 2 scenes happened. Scene number 1.
Don't kill him.
You know I'm allergic to them. This thing could kill me.
Well, why does his life have any less value than yours?
Is his life worth the He's a bee! Even in this world where bees are more intelligent than in our world, they don't know that. They think bees are just as stupid as any other animal. So yeah, if I'm in a room with a bee and someone who is allergic to a bee, I'm killing the bee, because I'm not a dick, you stupid hippie. But whatever, when Barry breaks the bee law, the thing that he mentions once and then is never really brought up again throughout the whole movie, when he starts talking to her, I thought for the most part she's reacting like a regular person would act.
I'm sure this is very disconcerting.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, you're a bee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a bee.
And then she did this.
Oh.
Holy crap, lady! Take it down a notch! You know, I think when most people think, oh, I'm dreaming, I must pinch myself, not, I gotta stab myself in the hand! And then as the film went on, she just became more and more like, okay, she has the initial shock at the beginning with Barry, like, oh, a bee is talking to me, but then she just treats it like it's the most regular thing in the world. She doesn't question it. She doesn't really even question him all that much. She doesn't want to tell the world, like, oh my gosh, bees can talk. But the biggest problem, I don't know why, but Renee Zellweger's character sounds like she's drunk the entire time.
I'm talking to a bee. Yeah, different. And he happens to be the nicest bee I've met in a long time. My only interest is flowers. What is wrong with you?
It's a bug.
Well, he's not bothering anybody. Get out of here, you creep!
The only person who gives what I can call a funny performance in this movie is Patrick Warburton as the boyfriend Ken, and Patrick Warburton just has a voice that goes well with animation. It's overly expressive, it's overly over the top, and it can work for a lot of different types of roles.
Fine. Talking bees, no yogurt night. My nerves are fried from riding on this emotional roller coaster.
And I think he can make it work. I mean, honestly, even in this film, even though his character is supposed to be the jerk, I don't really find that he does anything that jerkish. I mean, sure, later in the film when he knows Barry can talk, he tries to kill him, but at that point I hate Barry, so I'm rooting for him.
Mamma mia, that's a lot of pages.
It's a lot of ads.
Remember what Vance said? Why is your life any more valuable than mine?
That's funny. I just can't seem to recall that.
Oh, well, maybe it's just the fact that Patrick Warburton is great, or maybe it's just the fact that his character's name here is my name, and every time they talk, I feel like they're talking to me.
Oh, Ken!
Hello.
I didn't think you were coming.
Well, trust me, I didn't really want to come and try to make peace with this little bee, but then you said you were in my apartment, so I figured, I guess I have to. Did you cook up those steaks I was saving?
There's still a little left. I could heat it up.
Yeah, you go on and do that.
Ken, Barry was looking at your resume, and he agreed with me that eating with chopsticks isn't really a special
You went
skill.
through my resume? Okay, I did not agree to that. And I'll have you know, as a white boy from Canada, learning to use chopsticks is a big accomplishment. I hate you so much.
Ken, I let
Yeah?
Barry borrow your razor for his buzz. I hope that's
What?
alright.
No, that is not all right. My gosh, did you two just break into my house and go through all my stuff? That is not okay. Don't you have anything better to do with your lives?
No, but there are other things bugging me in life.
What?
And you're one of them.
Are you threatening me? Are you saying if I don't start reviewing this movie and calling it for what I think it is, a piece of crap, are you threatening me? Alright, you know what? That's it.
What are you doing?
I'm calling the police. They will know that you have been... Oh. Okay. Just... Renee, just put the gun down. Just put the gun down. We can talk about this. We can arrange something.
Goodbye, Ken.
No! I don't like that. No. You also have Matthew Broderick as Barry's best friend, and honestly, I don't think he has that good of an expressive voice. Because it's like for example, with Patrick Warburton's character, his character is so over the top and his voice so defined that I don't see anybody else doing that character as well or as good, or at least in the same way as Patrick Warburton. With Matthew Broderick's character, I feel anybody could have played him and it would have had the same effect.
Look, you did it, and I'm glad. You saw whatever you wanted to see out there, you had your experience, and now you're back, you can pick out your job, and everything can be normal.
The film only starts to have a real plot after halfway through the movie, when Barry finds out that humans use honey and decides to sue all of humanity for taking the honey. They never bring up the fact that because bees have hid their intelligence from humanity, humanity should not be to blame for it because, we think they're dumb insects. And so if they all of a sudden say, hey, we're really intelligent and you've been taking our stuff, we're like, well, you should have let us know. However, while we're on that topic, how on earth have bees hid their intelligence from humanity for all these years? If this was a crazier world, I might be able to buy it, but the outside world looks just like our world. And in our world, we would have known noticed some things.
Hello and welcome to our nature documentary. Today's episode we are looking in on the bee. Simple little creature. Hardworking, always diligent to make that special honey. Let's take a look in our hidden camera that we put inside their hive. Yes, as you can see, the natural environment of the bee is made out of roads and pathways. Their basic instincts lead them only to make the simplest little factories and ticket timers and work shifts and of swimming pools. It's amazing what type of creatures God has made. Very simple, elegant creatures. Wait a minute, they're driving cars.
In our world, we would have noticed by now that they were getting electricity, TV stations, roads, houses, swimming pools. All of that we would have noticed by now. I mean, as much as the animation on it all looks very nice, it makes no sense. And sometimes they have completely pointless crap in this hive, like, why is there a loop-de-loop?
I love this, incorporating the amusement park right into our regular day.
Wait a minute, what am I saying? Why do they have cars? Like, when you look at a movie like A Bug's Life or even Ants, the way they made their world is set up so if you put a random human in this scenario, they wouldn't be like, oh, there's something wrong about this, something different about this. Their worlds still pretty much look like what we would think an ant world would look like. This hive has a pool and houses, a factory, and a million other things that humans would have noticed by this point. My point, though, all of this world is put out there for you, but doesn't really think about how it connects to the world outside. If bees had all this stuff, humans would have noticed it by now. Also, I feel dumbfounded that this movie decided to make beekeepers like the most evil characters ever.
They make the honey, and we make the money.
They make the honey and we make the money?
I mean, let's be honest here, beekeepers are like one of the few groups in the world that actually like bees. And to make them the terrible monsters, honestly, it reminds me of like all those 90s films that had like people who ran the Pound as like the worst people ever. When honestly, if you go to work for the Pound, that probably means you like dogs. But anyways, it wasn't until the courtroom scenario started where Barry decides to sue the human race. It wasn't until that started where I started to realize how much wasted talent there is in this movie. I mean, we already got Patrick Warburton, who doesn't get enough to do, but then we have John Goodman as a lawyer, and he is trying, but there isn't really anything for him to do. Besides, like, one scene where he overacts, but that's it. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Next, we have Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, Oprah herself as the judge. She says nothing funny. Kathy Bates as Barry's mom. She says nothing funny. Flip it, Chris Rock! Chris Rock was in the trailer for this film. I'm not sure if you remember, but B-Movie had this stupid advertising campaign where they had Jerry in an actual bee costume, and they would try to reenact scenes that were going to be in the movie in full costume. And it was over the top and stupid, and Chris Rock was in the trailer, so I thought, oh, he was going to play a big part in this movie. Nope. One scene in the middle of the movie, and then one quick sentence at the end, and that's it.
Just keep still.
What? You're not dead?
Do I look dead? Hey, man, they will wipe anything that moves.
He is completely wasted in this film. Unlike Renee Zellweger's character, who just sounds completely wasted.
Well, he's not bothering anybody. Get out of here, you creep!
But at the very least, I gotta give it to Chris Rock. He has a voice that could be used well for animation. You know, it's very expressive, it's very over the top. So yeah, I think it could be used well. It wasn't used well in this movie. And then there is this scene.
Thank you, Larry. You know they have a Larry King in the human world, too.
It's a common name. Next week on Be Larry King.
No, I mean, he looks like you, and he has a show with suspenders and...
Just because you can have a Larry King cameo doesn't mean you should have a Larry King cameo. My gosh! But there is bigger problems at hand here other than just wasted talent. This film doesn't think its message through, which in the end, if you really think about it, leads to it giving a very uncomfortable message. Okay, for example, Barry in this movie, in the courtroom scene, makes a very heavy comparison from the bees to slaves.
Living out our lives as honey slaves to the white man!
Pretty heavy conversation to be handling so glibly, but okay, there's your parallel. The bees are like the slaves. At least that's what the movie is saying. And then the bees win the case. Yay! And they're all able to go free. And we start to get lines like this.
This is an unholy perversion of the balance of nature, Benson. You'll regret this.
We got our honey back.
Yeah, but sometimes I think, so what if the humans liked our honey? Who wouldn't? It's the greatest thing in the world. I was excited to be a part of making it.
And without a purpose, bees decide to stop making honey, and because of that, all the flowers start to die. Well, not just flowers, all the plant life. Which, okay, number one, first off, we know that that wouldn't happen. At least not to that extreme, because there's other animals, other, bugs that distribute pollen and whatnot, It's not just the bees. At the very least, it wouldn't happen that quickly. And number two, how did humanity not see this coming? I mean, we have scientists and stuff that have done random studies like what would happen if bees stopped, pollinating. There's been studies like this, and how did everyone go, what? Bees are responsible for plants growing? This is kindergarten stuff here, guys. You think at very least they would say, okay, we'll stop taking all your honey, but we'll make sure that you keep working? Is there anything we can do to make sure you keep working? Anything? But anyway, back to my point about the movie's bad message. Barry then regrets his actions. Well, sort of. We'll get to that. And then he gets a lot of the last flowers on Earth, and the bees get back to work, and the order is restored. Do you get the bad message it just sent to you? No? Let me break it down for you. This is what the movie just said. Bees equals slaves. If slaves stop working, it's bad for the rest of us, so slaves should just go to back where they belong. You realize that's what this movie is saying? Not intentionally, obviously. I don't think it's actually trying to say that by freeing the slaves we've messed up the world order and they should go back to slavery. I don't think the movie's saying that. But it didn't think its message through. Comparing bees to slavery and then ending the movie with the bees going back to work with no sign that they're getting paid for anything. I think they just go back to work and life returns to normal. You can't make that comparison and then just act like you didn't make it in the first place. And they also just, they're trying to tackle issues, but they're not actually tackling them. They're more just, bringing them up and then just leaving them hanging there. This is how they handle the very sensitive topic of cultural appropriation.
And so here we have yet another example of bee culture being casually stolen by a human for nothing more than a prance-about stage name.
Yeah, you got it. That handles all the subtleties of that topic. And honestly, when you really think about it, Barry doesn't really do anything to help in the final act of this film. Nothing. In the final part of this movie, it has Barry with a plane full of flowers coming to New York because all the plants are dying, and due to some wacky shenanigans, the pilots are knocked unconscious, and so Renee Zellweger's character drives the plane, Matthew Broderick's character gets all the bees to catch the plane, and Barry just stands there and really does nothing except yell at her. And sure, hey, New York is saved because now we got all these flowers and now we can use the pollen to plant in all these other plants and restore. Yay! The rest of the world's still screwed because as far as my knowledge, the rest of the world's bees are still sitting on their butt. Even if they all decided to now go back to work, it's too late. So many plants have died. There's not going to be enough pollen to go around, so the most of the world is doomed. Thanks, Barry. You know what I really think about it? I think Barry is the villain of this story. Now, maybe that's going a little bit too far. I mean, I don't like the character at all, but it's not like he's hurting anybody that I actually care about.
Wait for my signal. Take him out.
We'll have a little nausea for a few hours, then he'll be fine.
You leave Winnie the Pooh alone, you heartless monster! Man, he is the villain of this movie. Everything he does just makes things worse. And of course, in the end, he's rewarded for it as he gets to be a pollen jock.
I'm a pollen jock!
Which I guess is what he wanted to do all along? Wow, they did not set that up at all. I mean, they set up that he was a little bit jealous of them, but that's because the girls were attracted to them. Whatever, the movie's almost over, I'm not going to argue with it. Actually, who am I kidding? Yes, I am. It's stupid. They didn't set it up at all. In the end, his character is so bad, I feel like he's actively trying to kill DreamWorks. If you don't believe me, watch what they did in the opening. Alright, listen here, Barry. The only one that gets to yank the kid off the DreamWorks moon is a velociraptor.
Gotcha.
I hate this movie. Honestly, it reminds me of like when big stars think they can write a children's book because obviously it's for kids, so it doesn't actually have to be smart or intelligent. We can just write whatever crap down and they'll gobble it up because I'm a famous person. No, it takes actual talent to write stories for kids, you morons. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld just looked at Shrek and said, oh yeah, I can do that. Well, no, you can't. You actually have to give a crap about the movie. You can't just throw whatever crap comes to your mind and just throw it on screen. You have to actually make it make sense. This movie has no plot worth caring about, no characters you like to follow. I swear they're so lazy they use the same sound of Jerry flying twice. And overall, it really just doesn't have any point to its story.
It's about nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. If this movie was a bee, I'd want it to sting me so it could die already.
How about a suicide pact?
How would we do it?
I'll sting you, you step on me.
That just kills you twice.
Right.
What?!
When will this nightmare end?
Okay, there are 2 lines that you don't cross in animation. Number 1, don't have an animal fall in love with a human. Number 2, don't joke about suicide! My gosh! You can joke about suicide in stand-up. You can joke about suicide in a movie that's older for older audiences or whatnot. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. All topics are open for humor. But you cannot do it in an animated movie. Do you really want your kids to be saying on the way home, Mommy, what's a suicide pact? No, I don't think so. All right. Let's just wrap this up. I don't really much care for B-movie. Because it sucks! The only thing I can say that's good about this movie is the animation. That's it. That's the only thing I can say that is actually of high quality of this movie. The rest of the movie is either too over the top, too bland, or just downright wrong for me to enjoy. My final rating for B-movie is a 2 out of 10. And I think the only thing holding it back from a lower score is the animation. You thank your animators, DreamWorks. You thank your lucky stars because you were this close of getting the lowest rating on Animated Look Back. Right now, you're just tied for the lowest rating. And on top of that, I didn't hate every character. I found most of the characters pointless, but I didn't hate every character. I only really hated Barry, and... oh my gosh, I just realized he named his character Barry because it's like Jerry, but with a B in it. Gosh! I am so done with this movie. I'm done. It's, join me on my next Animated Look Back where I review Shocked to No One Dumbo. I'll tell you one thing, despite that movie's name, I doubt it'll be nearly as dumb as this movie. See you around. Oh! And the bee puns, they're the worst!
It's alright.